Hey everybody, welcome to the nightly vid. Let's get started with the SPY. Still a 2 month to the upside. Where's that going? Up there. Right? You're going to then see we are getting close to that monthly magnitude, which would be your first level of short-term exhaustion. We do have some Moody's news that's going to cause some gaps down, more than likely, just because of how green those months are. It'll end up being a gap down buy. We do have a magnitude on the futures. 322 to the downside on the US 500. So your magnitude is to take this out, the other side of that 3. And if you do that, you might take this out as well. And then after that, we got nothing to take out. So either they keep puking or we reclaim that, and then we're going back to the highs. So ideally this week, we would see something like this to start the week, taking out those lows and then going the other way, giving you the broadening formation of this. So what that tells you is things that are in force on the month, we want to see the ones that go inside on Monday and see if we go inside up on Tuesday. And then we'll see, what we look like Monday afternoon in the nightly vid. But that being said, let's go and take a look at the Qs. Same thing, right? There's your monthly magnitude. Did you know about that? You did, right? We told you guys the market would recover, and it did. Now we've hit our target. We'll see if we have the gap down on Monday, and similar to everything else, if we go to the NAS, you're going to see it is inside down. So a little weaker than the SPY off the highs there. We don't have much pivot targets nearby. We have this, and then the next one's way down there. So it's going to be difficult to take these guys out, and we'll open it inside week tomorrow. If we go to the Dow Jones, you're going to see Dow Jones. If anything was going to change the month, it'd be Dow, right? It'd be closer to changing that to red, but we're still nowhere near doing that, right? So we're just going to expect that this is triangle layout. We can play the downside, but we just got to know we prefer it back up. And as far as your triangle or broadening formation is concerned, you'll see last week we had something like this, 2260 there. Where's that going? Boom, through all those guys, right? The simultaneous 60s here. So we'll see if that gets bigger, but we'll start as a gap down likely on Monday. And to give you the rest of them, SPY, broadening formation looks like this. Qs, you'll see it was weaker, right? And that was something that we noted in the tech. Looks like this, give or take. If we go to IBM, you're gonna see the broadening formation there. This is a beauty. You'll see mother bar problems, lower low, 60 reversal, higher highs. So IBM is, maybe pivot machine gun through these guys. We'll see where they open up, but everything's gonna look similar. So we'll see how that gap opens tomorrow. Therefore, this weekend vid might be a little shorter. That being said, let's take a look at the sectors. So I'm having a little trouble loading up my Thinkorswim here, but we will see most things twos up. So if we go in here, so this is just a list of the sector selectors, and what I did was just ask Perplexity to give me the whole list to make it quick. Super good to use the AI tools with this stuff, and maybe we can even build that in. That'd be cool. But you'll see twos up, tech, discretionary, SOX, which is your semiconductors, industrials, communications, materials, right? And it's a hammer 2 up. You'll see energies, which is like a doji 2 up, I believe. CIBR, which I'm actually not sure what they do. Maybe it's cybersecurity. Guess we'll see in a second. KIE, again, I'm not sure what they do. Regional banks, you'll see 2 up. Financials, 2 up. And then PAVE, I'm also not 100% sure what they do. Yeah, cybersecurity, ETF. Let's see what PAVE ETF is. Global infrastructure development. Interesting. All right. But you'll see those are all 2s to the upside. And then we can go and see the scenario 1s. So who's inside? IBB. And I think it's the biotech. We'll see what it tells me. But if we go to IBB, yeah, I imagine it's biotechs. It should tell me there. We go to all. Yeah, biotech ETF. You'll see inside there, still an inside or 2 up month. So maybe we'll see it recover. We got a big broadening formation you'll see playing out in these guys. And I like the XBI biotechs, which you're going to see is a inside week as well. So biotechs together inside weeks. We'll take a look and see if we can do that. We don't have a biotech sector here. It's going to be in the healthcares. But if we go to 2 down, you'll see 2 down in green in the healthcares. So those started recovering a bit with your UNH having some problems before, but XLVs, maybe the recovery, it's more of a doji here. You'll see they went 2-2 in here, which reclaims all this stuff on the daily. like such, but still pretty red on the month. So are we gonna be able to change that or not? That being said, threes, you'll see staples and real estate. So if we go to XLRE, outside bar hammer on the week. So if you can get out of that, can show you move up into these guys here, 43.88. And if we go to staples, this is gonna be a fun one for next week. So staples, you'll see the 132 setting up, and that's a really bullish candle. So what we'd like to see is, can we come back through the all-time highs of staples coming off the gap down by here in April? And you'll see the triangle that on the weekly to bring them back up at least into these guys, and ideally those guys. So we'll take a look at the staples to start, and that's gonna be your consumer cyclicals. So we can look at the twos down or the threes there. So we can do 2 down or 3. So we can do staples or consumer non-cyclicals. Doesn't look like we have any threes there, but we can go 2 down. And if you want, we can go 1, 2 down. So CocaCola, Mondelez, and K. So you'll see Coke, the 122 Rev Strat pivot machine gun. You'll see we already have it marked out there. And we actually identified this here when it went green. It's 70.17, it's up to 72. Kellogg's, I believe that's what it is. Kellanova, yep. Kellogg's, you'll see the hammer Rev Strat week coming off the bottom of this. And the broad information looks like this: new highs, new lows, potentially the new highs into these guys. And then Mondelez, one of our crowd favorites here. You'll see we've been waiting. So we had this nice signal to get a winning position here. Been waiting for the triangle out. We had a slight triangle out here, slight triangle out here. So if we can get above that, 66.73 next week, we'd like to go after that for sure. So Coke and Mondelez, those are gonna be the main ones. If we go to the twos down overall, we can either sort by volume or by the dollar amount. You'll see Coke's in there. See if dollar amount or volume. So Walmart. So Walmart, you'll see the hammer 222 week, so triangle layout, and then back up, confirming the 22 month. Walmart's potential outside quarter to take this out, outside quarter up there. No daily signal, but we had the 22 on the gapper list, and we saw this inside 30 on the gap list here, right there. Boom, we're in, and now we'll see if that weekly gets going. You'll have Kraft Heinz. Potentially slight hammer week, a little bit weaker. If we go to MO with Philip Morris, you'll see the triangle layout, lower lows to these guys, and then looking for the 2, 2, 2 back to the top of this broadening formation. That'll be a good one. Tells you Philip Morris, 2, 2, 2 for the triangle out. And you'll see this broadening formation from back in here. It's gonna be acting as some support for us. So if we can get above that, we're gonna look for about $6 move. If we keep going down the list, it's gonna be a lot of, the smaller names. If we go to dollar amount, we'll see if we're missing any. What, Pepsi? We'll have Costco in there, and Costco will be a really good one for next week. So we'll go Costco. So you're gonna see inside week 3. So we're looking for the 1, 3, 2 back up into here. So if we go 2 up next week, we're going to hold that until that reverses. Ideally, we'll get this. That'll be a good swinger name with Walmart simultaneous break. So we'll definitely be watching for that. Then we'll see the hammers in here. So we can go to category, hammer, and here's all your hammers. So TSN, CSEP, BJ. So TSN, you'll see the hammer week, just not making those lower lows. If we go to the month, still bright red, so not as interesting to us compared to Cost and Walmart. CSEP, you'll see the 2, 2, 2 week, so the triangle layout, potentially back up there. And that covers most of them. You could be looking at any of these other names, feel free to do so, but I like to stick to the higher liquidity stuff. That also tells us utilities. So we go to XLU, you'll see a lot of those are 2 down, but green. It looks like we disconnected 1 sec. All right, we're back. So you'll see 2 down, but over half of those are green on the week. So when we go to utilities, you're going to see all these names potential 2-2 weeks with hammers. So you could be looking at the 3-2-2s. Here they are. WEC. It's going to be one of the main ones we like looking at. So you'll see the 3-2-2, and what set that up right here, the hammer day. We knew about that in the strat alerts, strat trading Discord room. You'll see SO 2-2-2 above last week's highs. And where that triangle out's going, up there, right, 93. We get a duck, a little bit weaker, so maybe not next week, but it'd be above that, 120.31. And then AEP, 2, 2, 2. So 2-2 reversal followed by 2-2 reversal back up into these guys. So we'll be watching the utilities and the staples. That tells us defensive market posturing, which will also hint at things like AT&T. The 2 down in green for the 2, 2, 2 triangle layout, and then back up above this 27.77. Still an inside month, right? But we have a yearly going. So if we zoom out here, we've been talking about this for a couple of years in AT&T because it's obvious, new highs, new lows, and then where's he going? Up there. So if this weekly works, we'll take that stuff out and get the month becoming a 2. And maybe we can get out of this broadening formation we're stuck in the middle of here. If we go to Verizon, you see the 2, 2, 2, and this are Randy Jackson, the 1, 2, 2, 2. And what this is going to do is pivot, machine gun, pivot, 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 pivot. This is really good for small account guys, like a 45 call, something we'd want to know about. Be aware of the inside month, but if that works and stays above last week's highs, we're looking for last month's highs to potentially get it going with AT&T. Tells you T-Mobile. So see this one's still an inside month as well, so be aware of that, but the 1, 2, 2, 2 Randy Jackson, and we'd have that going at least up into these guys, maybe PMG all the way through here. So also tell you things like ASTS, which is a space mobile company. Didn't close the strongest, but it is still a 2-2 month up, so maybe we get some triangle layout back to the upside. You'll see some slight lower lows in their back end. And I'll tell you things like Charter and Liberta. So Charter is already a monthly going, so it'd be just continuation. Liberta, already a 3-2 month and going, so it's just continuation, but it is 3-2 year, 1-3-2 to the upside. So if we can stay above that, then we want it up. If not, then they're bringing them back in. But we'll definitely be watching those guys with the staples and the utilities as they're all, you know, of the same feather. And outside of that, we can take a look at the inside weeks like this. So let's go to the current candle of 1. Got about 65 inside weeks. And some of these guys are things we want to know about. So sadly, right now, I think the charting system is going to be lagging now, so we're not going to use that. But in the healthcares, REGN, see the inside week. So if XLVs firm up with the hammer or, you know, potential 2-2 week here, REGN would be one of the stronger ones. The inside week for the outside month, and it has been a lot higher, so maybe they come back. If we get a crowd, you'll see the 3-1-2 setting up in the tech with the 3-2 month. So if that works, it could really get going. On a 2-day chart, they're still, you know, inside at this point. If we look at MicroStrategy, Bitcoin with the Moody's news hasn't really moved. Some MSTR, you'll see triangle layout, potentially the 2-2 pivot machine gun of these guys back up. If that works, you'll have the inside quarter up going. So the day would confirm the quarter signal. If we go to DoorDash, it's from the monthly vid, you'll see the 2-2 month already hit its magnitude, but the 3-1-2 reversal week above that, 202.75, you'd want to know about it. No daily signals to do that. You'll have momentum 4 hours, so we'd prefer a triangle layout first. If we keep going down the list, looks like PLNT, which is, I believe, Palantir, no, Planet Fitness. Interesting. It's a little bit stuck in there, but inside week could become RevStrat month in force again. It is a doji year, so I got much evidence for that. I'm just looking for people who aren't nobodies. Yeah, so a lot of these guys are nobodies on the inside week list, but these guys up at the top, Dash, MicroStrategy, Crowd, REGN, we'll be watching next week. Could be watching NTRA with the XLVs as well. Inside a week barely, but you can see it's kind of a doji here. Still kind of a doji year, doji quarter. No thanks, right? That being said, the last thing we'll take a look at is things on the daily. We look for 2 down green, and we'll just take a look at who we got in here. You know, since we're gapping down, actually, we're not going to take a look here. But to summarize the video, if we just throw it in the notepad here, get rid of these weekly signals, we'll see 2 down, 2 up, or no, upside names, XLP, which is your cost, your Walmart, your Coke, Pep, question mark, Procter & Gamble, question mark, and Kellanova. If we go to utilities, AEP, SO, Duck, WEC, XLV, you're going to have, and we're testing my memory here after a couple glasses of wine. Let's see. XLV, it's going to be REGN, and the other names are not as interesting to me. Downside names, we're not going to have much. You know, Gappers, question mark, whoever's is taking last week's lows. That's what we're going to want to know about. So we're going to see potential of that rotation back into the defensive market posturing, staples, utilities, and we're going to add XLU plus, which is going to be your T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Cisco, and then ASTS question mark. So we'll see if these guys want to keep going. Costco, it's going to be one of my main focuses for next week. And then all of the utilities can be a focus if we get that simultaneous break, with Walmart being a focus with Costco. And you could have the Coca-Cola pivot machine gun in there, like so. Outside of that, though, that's all I've got for the weekend vid. We'll see you guys at the open on Monday. If I'm up in the morning, I will try and get a stream going for the public. So if you're there, you're there. If not, you know, you can watch the replay. But that's all I've got for you. Have a good rest of your night, and I'll see you guys bright and early in the morning.